Have you seen these dudes that shoot in the air with their AK-47s? They can't be any good at encryption. The coders.
They called it Mujahideen Secrets.
Mujahideen Secrets. Am I supposed to believe this report?
I don't know. Mujahideen Secrets. And most Al-Qaeda affiliates used it to scramble their communication.
I'm going to scramble my communication. Stand by for more Mujahideen Secrets.
Since its introduction in 2007, there had been some minor updates. Then, in late 2013, after the Snowden leaks, the program got a major overhaul.
Oh, it's like the iPhone 6.
3 different groups with links to Al-Qaeda introduced 3 new encryption products. It was like jumping from Windows 2.0 to Windows XP.
Whoa! I didn't know she was a tech expert.
Hold on a second. Was there ever a Windows 2.0? I think it was the Windows 3.0 or Windows 18.
It wasn't Windows 2.0.
But it was the big jump was Windows 95.
Right? Yeah.
Not Windows 2.0 to Windows XP. And excuse me, Microsoft.
Hey, point, Adam. You're just not getting it.
It's like going from Maverick to Yosemite.
Reporting future is a man named Christopher Alberg. He had heard.
Hold on, I'm sorry. I went back way too far. My mistake. I'm sorry.
He used it to scramble their communications.
Well, their eggs.
Since its introduction in 2007, there had been some minor updates. Then, in late 2013, after the Snowden leaks, the program got a major overhaul. 3 different groups with links to Al-Qaeda introduced 3 new encryption products. It was like jumping from Windows 2.0 to Windows XP. Alberg says that wasn't a coincidence.
3 major product releases coming out of 3 different organizations on the Al-Qaeda and associated organizations fairly quickly after the Snowden disclosures.
Really? And did you get a copy of? Were you a beta tester, John? Any chance? You get a beta?
You know, I'm now irked about this because I didn't get a copy.
Alberg believed this amounted to good circumstantial evidence that Snowden had had an impact, but he wanted to see how much, so he called in a cyber expert.
Cyber expert.
My name is Mario Rosen, and I'm the CEO and the founder of Reversing Labs.
Yes, I'm also chairman.
Reversing Labs is a cyber analysis company.
Oh, how can you make fun of this stupid woman? The cyber analysis company.
And Volkson took the new Al-Qaeda encryption program apart to see what it was made of.
Hold on, I have a screwdriver. I'm trying to take it apart to see what it's made of. This is for a company that professes to practice journalism. The way this is being reported on is not acceptable. It is 2014. There are people who, and you don't have to go to Kenneth. It is unacceptable the way they took it apart in the garage.
This is NPR. It's good.
We put it up on the jacks. We looked underneath. We took the oil pan off.
As a general matter, he says, encryption is fairly straightforward.
So simple.
So multiple mathematical algorithms have been developed to scramble this content into sort of random set of letters and numbers.
Oh, really? I think he's not German, he's Russian. This random set of numbers, it is just like a code.
So that only the target receiver will be able to
Wait a minute, what do you mean target the receiver? What is target or receiver?
read it.
In other words, someone might type a message in Arabic, then the encryption program turns it into random numbers and letters.
Gobbledygook!
Wow.
That is not, have you ever seen encryption? It does not turn into random words and letters, it turns it into a block of characters.
Could be anything. There's lots of ways of doing it. You could use steganography, which is a photograph.
You could use a simple replacement cipher.
There's lots of ways of doing it.
There's
Generalizing.
on the other side can unscramble the message with a key.
Oh! We have now revealed the secret way Al-Qaeda uses encryption with a key.
Volkson said the new version of Mujahideen Secrets is much better. The old program was built on code that Al-Qaeda created for itself.
Stupid Al-Qaeda.
The new version incorporates more sophisticated open source code,
Oh!
which means it's probably harder to break.
Oh, please. All right, I gotta shoot myself now. This is just unbelievable. The Mujahideen secret based on open source code, which means it's harder to break.
This is not the work of some.
That's what she said.
She's crazy.
That's exactly what she said. It's harder to break. No, listen to what she says again.
Was built on code that Al Qaeda created for itself. The new version incorporates more sophisticated open source code, which means it's probably harder to break.
Because open source?
This is not the work of somebody who has learned the programming yesterday and is now trying to do that first, hello world application.
Hello, it's not some stupid like script kid who's just doing a hello world application. This is like they've got a key. Ahmed, swallow the key.
I cannot imagine that this is being developed in some cave in Afghanistan.
Not in a fucking cave in Afghanistan. No, man, this is some real Silicon Valley shit.
Where did you get this clip again?
NPR. This is NPR, your national treasure.
Although it says wherever it was developed, the complexity and timing of the software upgrade is important.
Okay, so this is not going to be used in Congress somewhere. Some douche knuckle's going to get up and say, well, we know that the Mujahideen secrets encryption code.
No. It's Mike Rogers. It's got Mike Rogers
Written all over it.
It's not just some douche knuckle.
And Mike douche knuckle Rogers.
Yeah, Mike Rogers will come up with this one, shaking a piece of paper.
But then the metaphors. Because he, of course, invented the jihadi Disneyland. They'll be like, we've got Mujahideen secrets being developed by coders in the jihadi Disneyland that is like going from Windows 2.0 to XP, thanks to Snowden.
It's all Snowden's fault.
I think actually bringing Bruce Schneier at the end to legitimize this otherwise incredibly weak and pathetic and incomprehensible and just unjustifiable, shoddy journalistic report.
Well, let's face reality and look at this report. This report is planted for the sole purpose of making it look as though something's changed when the NSA can crack whatever this code is.
Mujahideen secrets.
It may be their code.
It's open source code. It's hard to crack. You see that Kaiser Alexander has filed
This guy's
for.
making $1 million a month.
He's filed for 9 patents for his new company.
He's filed for 9 patents.
Yes.
What was his background?
Star Trek groupie.
Well, besides that, Keith Alexander, is he an inventor?
Alexander insists that cybersecurity technology he's inventing now is distinct enough from his work at the NSA that he can file for new patents and reap all the benefits.
Stealing this stuff from the government. He probably developed these things while he was working there. Well, what's his? He's 62.
Of course he
Went
did.
to West Point, Boston University, U.S. Army Command. Naval Postgraduate School.
You know what this is? I mean, you know what this is, don't you? This is very easy. This is his buyout. This is his way out. This is what he gets. And
You're right.
this is just like Greenwald getting $250,000 over the Freedom of the Press Foundation.
Yeah, then shut up.
Shut up. Fine, shut up. Go away, Kaiser.
There's a lot of money. Just shut up and stay shut up.
And by the way, the $1 million figure has apparently dropped to about 600,000. I don't believe any of it, but there's no fact, there's no proof of these numbers.
Yeah, it's just a big.
And they've tried to do FOIA requests, and the NSA and Kaiser Alexander all refuse to disclose anything. He's the cyber king.
Why has he got a Joint Chiefs of Staff identification badge on when he was in the? He's not in the Joint
That
Chiefs.
gets you into the executive washroom, I believe.
Oh, okay, that could be.
Yeah.
These medals and ribbons on these guys are just too gratuitous.
I got a note about your story, Buzzkill Jr.'s phone drain when the president was in town.
Yeah.
Buzzkill Jr., I think that's who it was the proud victim of the unconstitutional use of an INSI catcher, better known as a stingray.
Oh, right, that thing.
The Secret Service, or whoever was working with them, local or state police departments, was gathering INSI, ESN, and IMEI data of every user's phone in the effective range of the device. They were probably also tied into the telco databases so that they could see who owned every single phone. One of the first things the device does is force the phone into full power mode in order to gather the best signal from them. Everyone in the office should contact the EFF, especially Chris Shigoyan. He and a former federal judge by the name of Brian Owsley are going to legislatures all over the country and notifying them of law enforcement's use of these devices without warrants. Just like with GPS use, these devices should need probable cause warrants. The Supreme Court needs to rule on these things. They conduct a search within the private spaces of citizens. Remember the thermal imaging devices that got restricted? Same thing. This is from JSOC Bay, who's one of our true military industrial complex insiders. He knows all about this.
That sounds right.
Sounds right to me, yeah. Yeah.
It would go like this, hey, JC, we got this guy talked about, you should talk to EFF about your thing being powered up like that because they're spying on you. So contact the EFF.
And what will he say?
Yeah, right.
I'm a rule follower, so if the rule is that we have to do it, then I'll do it.
You tell me he's not going to make a problem? He's not going to make waves?
Probably not.
And then this other just...
Most of the millennials have given up.
Yeah, this is unfortunately true.
Yes, it's a fact. They just decided to become hipsters. They figure their own subculture will take care of itself when it gets old enough. I don't know what else to tell you.
Apparently the judges, and we have names here, James Zagel, FISA court member since 2008, and looking for the other name here, a couple of these, Judge Wright, Judge Roger Binson, these are all FISA court judges, have been purchasing stock in Verizon. And they do this at opportune moments when they come out with certain rulings and or approvals.
Well, it's funny. I was doing the Horowitz show. I came into a bunch of inside trading going on at AT&T. So these guys are buying up their own stock too. There's something up with the telecoms.
Would make total sense.
But what?
Well, first of all, the fact that there's insider trading, everyone who's on the inside is doing it. This is just based on what news will come out regarding, well, I think this probably more has to do with the USA Freedom Act of 2014, which will compensate each telco for every single request that's now codified. It hasn't been passed yet.
Oh, there's been tens of thousands of requests.
Yeah, there's money.
And so this is just going to be free money for these guys.
Yeah, that would
Again, to shut up. It's hush money.
That would seem like a pretty good deal.
It has to be pretty substantial, less the stock. You wouldn't be buying the stock for some nickel and dime stuff. That's for sure.
No, you gotta have good stock.
Well, there was one of the talk show guys who's going on and on about the border issue thing going on with the southern border of the United States. Blah, blah, blah. And he mentioned that these correctional companies, Geo, Wackenhut,
That sounds like a porn video company.
You didn't remember Wackenhut?
I thought I had, but it's correctional facilities, no.
No, they used to be a real estate investment trust that became, they started buying correctional facilities. They're getting all this money from the government to house these kids. And the whole thing is just this, a scam to keep these private prisons filled to capacity.
Do you have a report on this?
No, I got nothing.
Yeah, a lot of people say, you haven't been talking about the border issue.
Now, what you talking about?
It isn't. I even question how bad it really is. It seems so opportune that all of a sudden this crisis erupted when President Obama threatened to sign his own immigration bill into law with his pen and his phone. But I'm not even sure it's a big crisis or that it's changed any since a year
You're in
ago.
Texas. You're down by the border.
Yeah, I don't say.
Damn near Mexico.
Ándale. I don't understand. To me, it's all propaganda. I really don't see.
Propaganda. I think you've come to that conclusion.
And of course, we had the RDI report come out, which was very disappointing to me. I thought that this was going to be some, everyone was, in fact, that's exactly what it sounds like. And RDI, of course, stands for the Rendition, Detention, and Interrogation Network. And the Inspector General needed to
Also, the torture report.
Well, that's really what it was, the torture report. But what we found out in well, we really don't have anything. There's an unclassified version, which is 1 page. This is what the citizens get. Summary report. Cause you got a mighty trick ducking and it's really clucking. And records on the CIA operated and maintained rendition, detention, and interrogation network, also known as RDINet. Potential violations include the Wiretap Act, I'm looking up for Computer Fraud and Abuse Act, and here it is: 5 agency employees, 2 attorneys, and 3 information technology IT staff members named Ben improperly accessed or caused access to the SSCI majority staff shared drives on the RDINet. So that is the violation. And then there's agency crimes report. The agency filed a crimes report with the Department of Justice as required by Executive Order 12333. This is the big one. That's that allows the agencies to actually spy on you and subjugates all these other.
Yeah, no, it's just great. Crap. Yeah, we were broken it down into pieces. Let's do whatever they want, essentially.
Yeah. However, the factual basis for the referral is not supported. Lack of candor, and this really pissed me off. It's like there's just no respect whatsoever. So who are we going to blame? If you had to blame somebody, who would you blame?
For the torture?
No, for spying, for the clear violation of improperly accessing drives. Who are you going to accuse?
Oh, but you have to accuse what's his name? They hit it all.
No.
Members demonstrated a lack of candor about their activities.
Yeah, dude named Ben.
Dude named Ben. So, of course, it's the IT guys who are going to get burned on this one.
No, there'll be some IT guy fired.
Here is, so here, of course, is the president's remark yesterday, which a lot of people really were surprised by his word usage.
With respect to the larger point of the RDI report itself, even before I came into office, I was very clear that in the immediate aftermath of 9/11, we did some things that were wrong. We did a whole lot of things that were right. But
yeah,
we tortured some folks.
Ben. So, of course, it's the IT guy. We tortured some folks. Burned on this one.
No, there'll be some IT
on the
guy
show
fired.
We've stumbled over. Here is, we've drawn attention to his use of the word folks before.
So here, of course, is
from this very same news conference, he referred to folks a couple other times. So I'm trying to figure out if we tortured some folks,
by his word
who were these folks? Let's see, what other folks did we talk about during the same news conference?
President, like that ceasefire, you've called for diplomatic solutions not only in Israel and Gaza, but also in Ukraine, in Iraq, to very little effect so far. As the United States of America lost its influence in the world, have you utilized?
We did a whole lot of things that were right.
So, of course, it's the IT guy. We tortured some folks.
Maybe they're tortured. Well, if you go to these press conferences, you're genuinely torturing the reporters. There's no doubt about it.
There is another folks another example.
I got to play a torture clip. This is an example of the torture. Play the Obama stammer. This is what he does constantly.
This is indeed torturing reporters. Who else is a folk?
Student loan bill that would help.
Students. Yeah, we tortured students.
Well, they do torture students with these ridiculous student loans. Students, when they graduate, they're deeply in debt. That's torture.
If this wasn't bad enough for them to say we tortured some
maybe they're torture. Well, if you go to these press conferences,
and stop if you saw it or heard about it. I think he's dug the hole much deeper after that.
I got to play a torture clip. This is an example.
We tortured some folks.
Play the Obama stammer. This is what he does constantly.
This is some things that are contrary to our values.
Yeah.
I understand why it happened.
See, this is not okay. Who else is a focus? You, as a president, as the commander-in-chief, you cannot say, oh, I understand why it happened.
They do torture
Because
students.
what he's about to say now is setting
Students when they graduate, they're
the law enforcement agencies, every single civil servant up for doing things wrong because the president ultimately will understand why.
I think it's important when we look back to recall how afraid people were.
So if we're afraid, then we can torture people.
After the Twin Towers fell and the Pentagon had been hit and the plane in Pennsylvania had fallen, people didn't.
The plane in Pennsylvania had fallen. To me, I've heard shot down, I've heard crash like that. It just fell. And if the plane falls, you can torture people, folks. Pressure. Oh, we're under so much pressure. Time to torture some folks.
On our law enforcement and our national security teams.
Oh, and it's not just national security. Law enforcement can torture folks if they're under pressure.
To try to deal with this.
Oh, I can't deal with it.
And it's important for us
afraid that we
not to feel too sanctimonious.
Sanctimonious.
I like that word. It's one of my favorites. I don't use it enough myself.
Definition.
He is sanctimonious.
Definition of sanctimonious. Making a show of being morally superior to other people. So we should not pretend to be better than Al-Qaeda, I guess, or folks who we tortured. Is that what I'm understanding, John? Is that essentially what he's saying?
Go back. I got to put it back in context because I'm not sure that's what he means.
Not.
This is very disturbing.
It's important for us not to feel too sanctimonious in retrospect.
I like that word. It's one of my favorites. I don't use it enough myself.
The job was so tough that they had to torture people, but we should not make a show of being morally superior.
Little spiel is about.
We should not pretend
when he said at the beginning, he says, well, we torture some folks. This is not our values. And then he goes on and on. That was being sanctimonious right there, right? You gotta put it back. He's being sanctimonious with this speech. And not saying he shouldn't be. I can't listen to this guy. Has got, as far as I'm concerned, the stammering clip is the clip. That, by the way, should be clip of the day, I might say. And I'm very annoyed that I didn't get it. But no, it's okay. You can be mean to me if you want.
No, because I feel that I had a better clip of the day.
Yeah, I know.
Which I have not played yet.
Oh, no, you had a really good clip at the beginning. I was borderline going to give you this clip of the day, but then
the president stammering.
I was so stunned by it.
Do you want a clip every single day, every single show? You just play some stammering? Just playing some stammering? Are you kidding me?
Okay,
no.
Keep playing this guy. What else does he say after sanctimonious?
Well,
we shouldn't be sanctimonious.
Don't be sanctimonious because apparently it's okay and it's understandable if you're under pressure and the plane falls from the sky to torture some folks. Because it's against our values, but
we are taught this on television.
Yes, it's understandable.
It's on television. If you watch 24 or any of these cop shows, you're everything short of doing some of the. There's a book people should get a hold of. It was written in the 30s. I can't remember the name of the author, but I read it. I took criminology when they used to have criminology at the University of California, and this is one of the books that was recommended. It's called The Third Degree. And it's about the torture techniques that were used by the New York Police Department. And it's very interesting. It's very educational. One of the top things they like to do is bring a dentist in and grind down a molar.
Hey, you
grind it down.
But when planes fall from the sky and there's a lot of pressure, we can't be sanctimonious about, grinding down molars. What is your problem? Don't you understand?
Sanctimonious in retrospect about the tough job that those folks had.
Yes. Who was the folks who were tortured had a tough job? Who's folks now? Or
folks.
Maybe it's the students now. I don't know.
And a lot of those folks were working hard under enormous pressure.
I work hard under enormous pressure. The guy at the gas station works hard under enormous pressure.
Especially if it's bosses.
The woman at HEB at the checkout works hard under enormous pressure of being able to get home on time for the kids, but yet she doesn't go around waterboarding her colleagues.
And are real patriots, but have.
Oh, if you're a patriot, then it's okay. Fuck yeah.
Having said all that, we did some things that were wrong.
Oh, yeah, like it's just wrong.
And that's what that report reflects.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why after I took office, one of the first things I did was to ban some of the extraordinary interrogation techniques that are the subject of that report.
Is that true? Did he do that?
Yeah. In fact, this is what Hayden and his buddy, that the head of counterintelligence, the threesome, the lawyer, Hayden, the head of the NSA and CIA during that era, and this other guy, this hard ass kind of a, I don't know what you'd call him, an operative.
Yes, I know.
Bitched about this in that hearing. We had it on.
I remember. You're right.
They bitched about Obama coming in and saying you can't do that, and then they bitched about the fact that they're going to be indicted. But the indictment seems to be slow.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Well, all of this, of course, is big cover for the real issue, which was the CIA spying on members of the Senate intelligence.
I thought that you guys were going to ask me how I was going to spend my birthday.
That's hilarious, Obama.
Yeah,
that's really funny.
Hold on, guys. Come on. There's just
there's your
on Brennan and the CIA.
Well, you see what I mean. 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 You see what I mean? Hey. You see what you see? Well, yeah. You see what I mean? Hey, this is Kenneth Jackson with Connections Digital Media, and today I'm working on the Mighty Turducken and trying to get it clucking. We have been blowing this project off for the last 6 months. Last time I fucked with it was in February, and I hope nobody's really watching this. Nobody's really watching this. Just me. And I'm trying to test everything out to make sure it works.
Of intelligence activities or any
well, this is the same usual. Well,
now,
yeah.
When Mr. Brennenheimer was asked about this by Andrea Mitchell, wife of Goldfinger, Goldfarb, at the Council on Foreign Relations, the drinking club. Here's what he said about this very issue, which was he was being accused of spying and violating the Constitution, and of course, possibly jailable offenses.
As far as the allegations of CIA hacking into Senate computers, nothing could be further from the truth. I mean, we wouldn't do that.
We wouldn't do that. It wouldn't happen at all.
I mean, that's
just crazy.
That's just beyond the scope of reason.
That's just that would be sanctimonious, beyond the scope of reason.
It's the clip of the day.
She says that there are potentially illegal and unconstitutional breaches by the CIA.
Well, there are appropriate authorities right now, both inside of CIA as well as outside of CIA, are looking at what CIA officers and...
No, it's just crazy. And I will play one. I'm going to stop this here. He just keeps on going saying it's crazy. We don't do that kind of thing with the CIA. We don't do this. We don't sanctimonious talk. He started this before the Q&A of this very speech at the Council on Foreign Relations. He started with this statement.
Now, just over a year ago, I had the privilege of placing my hand on the very first printed copy of the Constitution, a draft edited and annotated personally by George Washington himself, that is one of the most treasured items held in the National Archives.
He's adding acidity and smudge to the document. He shouldn't have even touched that thing.
With my hand on that document, Vice President Biden swore me in as the director of the Central Intelligence Agency. I chose to take my oath on that precious piece of history as a clear affirmation of what the Constitution means to all of us at the agency.
Which is like toilet paper.
We have no higher duty than to uphold and defend the rule of law as we strive every day to protect our fellow citizens. Like so many things involving CIA, though, people read nefarious intentions into my decision to take my oath on an early draft of the Constitution that did not contain the Bill of Rights.
Yeah, like, with the Fourth Amendment, all that stuff in there.
Constitution's first 10 amendments. So at the risk of disappointing any conspiracy theorists who might be here today, let me assure all of you that I, along with my CIA colleagues, firmly believe in and honor not only the Constitution, but also the Bill of Rights, as well as all subsequent amendments to our Constitution.
You lying sack of crap. You do not, because you violated them. You violated specific elements of the Constitution, and you make a joke about it that you put your hand on a copy of the Constitution which did not include these elements, and you tell me I'm a conspiracy theorist. It's incredible. It's just really incredible.
It's pretty funny. I find it highly amusing.
Well, of course. I mean, obviously it's entertaining.
It's very entertaining. Come on.
And I just want at some point to say, well, of course, we droned some folks because he's the guy. He's the guy that pulls the trigger. And Obama on their Tuesday death squad meetings, they determine who they're going to drone. And even I stopped counting.
And it's pretty illegal in from a lot of different perspectives.
Yeah, but if you didn't put your hand on the Constitution, which had all that stuff in, that annoying
he did that
stuff.
because he couldn't take a chance on it. He's probably religious. He used the Bible.
Annoying, sanctimonious stuff. We can't have any of that, John. We can't have any of that.
All right. So let's change some gears here, and I used the word "so" I shouldn't have used. I want to. We tease and I let you have it. I didn't care. You can take it because you're the expert at this, and I will say that.
Yeah, well, this is the mighty turducken, and it's a clucking.
Obama apparently signed at the last minute before everybody went on vacation.
Friday.
What time is it? It's 5 minutes to 5. Okay, 5. Wait, let me do it at 1 minute to 5.
Hey, did those douchebags put out that billionaire report yet?
And so then they.
I got one better.
And so then they sign something that had to do with Ebola. Now you are now given the floor to explain.
Oh, well, thank you. I thought maybe you would have a few more things on Ebola. I actually wanted to do it after our little break.
No, I don't have anything new on Ebola. I think I pretty much covered what I think is going on. And I think that they're bringing, if you want to bring conspiracy stuff in, the only reason I think that they're bringing, and by the way, everyone's talking about it going out of control. If it was going out of control, we'd have some exponential action.
Oh, yeah.
728 was the last number I saw. And they said, well, there may be another 1,000 cases here or there. It's not getting out of control. So they get the two people infected, the two Americans, they bring them. For the first time, not the first time.
It was like an O.J. Simpson. They're following the ambulance down the highway.
They bring these two guys into Atlanta, so they can draw their blood and work on it.
Did you see the guy get out of the ambulance himself?
Yeah,
he just stepped out. Oh, give me a hand. Here's Sanjay Gupta. Of course, we have whenever there's an airliner disaster, you bring in Richard Quest. The aviation expert with certainly no pilot's license.
No creds.
But known to be most famously for being arrested in Washington Square Park with a dildo in his boot, with meth in his pocket, and a rope around his neck tied to his genitals. Which, by the way, I think is expertise in something.
Yeah, but I guess it's some form of flying.
So they bring in Sanjay Gupta. I like Sanjay. I think he's got a good rap. I think he's got a clean face. He looks good. He looks the part. He looks serious.
He's presentable.
He has puppy dog eyes. He he can do that. And also he will don the suit. He'll put on the hazmat into the Ebola contaminated area. So he has some Geraldo aspects to him. He's a good guy. But when he's doing an OJ play-by-play, it kind of falls apart.
Two people coming out of the ambulance in those suits. It is believed that one of those is Dr. Kent Brantley. What does that tell you, Sanjay?
That is, it's a good sign medically, no question. A bit of a surprising one, Poppy. I'll tell you, we had heard some days ago that his condition had deteriorated, and then we heard that he may have stabilized, but was still in serious condition, walking off the ambulance the way that he is, obviously requiring a little bit of assistance from a medical standpoint.
From a medical standpoint, he does not seem to be dying at this moment.
Bodes very well for
It bodes well for him that he's not dead.
for him, and frankly, it's a little surprising based on, I think, what
my producer told me to expect.
Certainly, we were expecting what we had been told and how he had been described. We also just confirmed a little
Based
bit
on
ago
what my
that even
producer told me
before
to
he
expect.
left Liberia, he was able to stand up and shower
Oh no!
on his own. Actually, get into the.
We need a guy. Where's my dead guy?
He's showering.
I can just see the producer. Get me Liberia on the phone. You promised me a guy with Ebola. What are you sending me? Get casting.
Shower on his own. So perhaps he improved quite a bit before his flight actually here to the United States. Regardless, he is now here at Emory University Hospital. He is in an isolation ward. His condition was still being described as stable but serious.
Stable but serious, but yet he just stepped out of the back of the ambulance. One guy just gave
There's another discrepant piece of information which needs to be mentioned. There was some talk, of course, this is these stories. There was some talk that they had some secret serum that they were going to do some sort of a cure, and they offered it to this guy here, and he says, no, give it to my assistant. But there's only one vial left, doctor. There's only one vial left. Give it to her. Don't you remember this?
No, I didn't hear this. This is great.
Oh, brother.
Give it to, wow. With everything, when we have a Hollywood moment like this, and I had Hollywood producers email me saying, I would have rejected this script. There's no way that this who came up with this, who allowed this to pass, and if anything, Gupta needs to fire his agent. This was a shitty gig for Sanjay.
And looking at these images, maybe he has improved even since that time. He is going to be in this isolation ward for some time. They're going to start replacing fluids, giving whatever treatments he is necessary.
The guy's moving around in the open air.
Replace it. Well, he had a suit on. He had a bunny suit on. But yeah, but he's getting. Yeah. Did you see the pictures? It's too funny. So the ambulance stops in front of the ward. And there's one guy in a hazmat suit standing at the back, the rear entrance. This is one of those box ambulances, like the big box, like a truck, like a meat packing truck.
Small, it's like a van.
Yeah, and the door opens, and the guy jumps down, but the guy who's assisting him just gives him a hand, and he hops down off the back of the truck. This is not a guy dying.
Mentioned Poppy, already en route to pick up one of his colleagues, also from Samaritan's Plus, and bring her back to the United States and Atlanta as well. You know, Poppy, I'll just tell you real quick. I know you've heard this, but you know, what you're seeing here has never happened before. We've never had a
guy jump off a truck
patient with Ebola in Atlanta, in the United States, in the Western Hemisphere of the world. So this was, from a medical standpoint, a scientific standpoint, certainly a first. And this is how it transpired, intentionally through a medical evacuation program.
Yeah, I do have something on the vaccine here for you if you want to hear that.
And again, non-essential travelers no longer go to West Africa. They talked about several different things, including a question that comes up quite a bit with regard to vaccines, or some sort of treatment for patients with Ebola. And Dr. Frieden, who's the head of the CDC, said, look, he believes that's still a year away before something like that's approved. It doesn't mean things like that won't get used in an experimental, more compassionate use standpoint.
Compassionate. Experimental compassionate.
But the idea about having a vaccine available for mass vaccinations, that's just not going to be available, he thinks, for at least a year. So probably not during this particular outbreak. So there are lots of different considerations. They're sending more personnel on the ground. The CDC is 50 more personnel, they say, at least, to try and stem the tide. And they reminded people that every outbreak in the past has ultimately been controlled. But this one's been really challenging.
Yeah, it's very, very challenging. And of course, the news media and the entertainment industrial complex loves jumping all over it for a number of reasons, which of course I have evidence of. NBC, with their fine news program, they really cut to the chase. If you want to view this Ebola, which you could say global warming, Ebola, AIDS, whatever it is, essentially all these things are going to be used as excuses to vote people off the island being the good ship Mother Earth. And those of you who are too much will just have to go.
The Centers for Disease Control now has people at about 20 places around the country where flights can come in. They certainly know the manifests of people coming out of dangerous areas, and people on the ground have been told to look up for certain symptoms: high fever, headache, sore throat, weakness. People in the early stages look sick, and airlines are on the alert to cull the herd, and if that's the case, not allow people to have international travel.
Let's call the herd. Just say it. Just say it. We're culling the herd right now. And of course, this all really is to promote the TNT television program, which kicked off in June, which I guess is just not doing too well. Have you seen the Last Ship?
Yeah, I saw the first episode, and then I didn't like it, but I just watched a little bit of the second episode, and then I stopped watching it completely. It's a piece of crap.
Yeah, I mean, I have the trailer, but since you think it's a piece of crap, we shouldn't play it.
Oh, it's a total piece of crap. Yeah. But I think we already ran.
I don't remember playing.
Yeah, I had a clip of the woman going on and on about, oh, you know, we got the virus, and it's me. They're after me. The Russians were after them. Yeah, you remember.
So essentially, there's a ship, and the only people alive on Earth are on the ship, and they're trying to get the vaccine to save everybody, and it's about an outbreak, and the president is dead.
Everyone's dead.
Everyone's dead. Everyone's dead.
Except the ship and the Russians that are after them.
Of course.
Why are the Russians after them? I don't know.
And we have all kinds of people who produce this program, all walks of life. John and I are pretty much jack of all trades, expert in nothing.
That's not true.
Well, we're expert in a few things, but not necessarily in.
You know all about the insert hole in a mixer.
I do. I am very skilled in the insert hole in the mixer.
Yeah.
But I don't think we are necessarily qualified in virology.
We both are ham radio operators.
Well, we are. We do have our tickets. Yes,
you have to pass a test.
You have to take a test.
Actually, I used to have a third-class phone in the olden days of radio when you had.
Yeah, no, I had an FCC license for radio broadcasting.
In a radio station.
Yeah. Although I found it always disappointing that you essentially, I'm sorry, I used the word essentially. You filled out a.
You're catching everything.
Yes. Well, yes.
I'm dropping the ball.
You filled out a form, you printed your own name on it, and then they sent that back with a stamp on it. But if I'd known, I would have printed it neater.
Oh, that wasn't the case with my third-class phone.
Oh,
I
you
passed
got
the
a nice.
test, and they sent a very nice certificate. If I could dig it up, I'd frame it. Very pretty, very official looking.
Well, the point I'm getting to is that we have doctors, medical doctors. We also have doctors of dental medicine, veterinarian medicine. We have all kinds of physicians.
We have a lot of listeners, and many of them are highly skilled.
They are very, very skilled. So we had this executive order come out on Friday, and let me see. Actually, they called it something else. Because the president no longer numbers his executive orders.
Was this a memorandum, perhaps?
No, it is an executive order, but they don't give it numbers anymore for some reason.
Doing that because the numbers are getting too ridiculous.
The executive order, and this came out, actually it came out Friday morning, written on Thursday evening. Revised list of quarantinable communicable diseases. Beginning here by the authority vested in me as president, by the Constitution, the laws of the United States of America. It is hereby ordered as follows. Section 1, Amendment to Executive Order 13295, and then there's a replacement text for that executive order. This executive order that is being replaced, amended, and otherwise changed was an executive order from President Bush. And there is a noticeable change. And Dr. Jones, who is one of our producers, helped me analyze exactly what has been done here. He uses some terms that even you brought up, which I hadn't heard before. So the changes are interesting. So this press release of 31st July 2014 references the 2003 Executive Order 13295 from George W. Bush. That particular executive order from 2003 added a blurb about SARS. And so SARS had not been on the list at the time, and President Bush added that to the communicable diseases executive order. Interestingly, the 2003 order already included Ebola. So you kind of wonder, what is this executive order about? What is its intent? What I found interesting is the 2003 order states Ebola as part of a list of VHFs. Now, I immediately thought, oh my goodness, we've got a repeater with a D star, but no, viral hemorrhagic fevers. That's did you not bring up the hemorrhagic fever on the
Yes.
other day? Do you want to tell me about the hemorrhagic fever? Is there something we need to know about that?
No, not. Well, there is a number of them. They come from the same family. Marburg is the other most notorious, and they tend to they're weird because they go in.
Weird.
Oh man.
Are they of ungodly nature? Uncanny? Are they out of this world?
Okay, they are odd in that they go and they bust up the cells in such a way that you start to bleed internally, and often your skin breaks out with lesions, and you start bleeding there, and eventually you bleed through your eyes and your ears and your mouth.
Nice.
The eye bleeding is the one
that's a good one. Bleeding from the eyes. Okay.
Yeah, someone bleeding from their eyes is not good.
Now, of note of that list.
In other words, you're hemorrhaging everywhere.
Yes, through the eyes. The list is open-ended and allows for quarantine of any other viral hemorrhagic fever, quote, not yet isolated or named. Now remember, Ebola is already on the list.
Was the word, read that, not yet isolated or made?
Named.
Made?
Named, given a name.
They didn't put made in there?
No. Maybe it was just a dyslexic moment, and they meant made. But it says named. Appreciate that the 2003 order added SARS, but the language of that executive order specifically exempted influenza. Again, this executive order is about, well, I'm going to get to the money shot in a moment. So influenza was removed, but then in 2005, President Bush amended Executive Order 13295 with 13375 and added a Section C, which has not been changed with this. Our President Obama has only changed Section B. So Section C remains intact, which included so-called influenza viruses that cause or have the potential to cause a pandemic. And then, of course, a few years later, we got the H1N1, with a level 6 pandemic, which was with changed rules of what a pandemic was. Just coincidence, I'm sure. The new executive order, 2014, makes no reference to Section C, so that remains in place. It excises the SARS language from Section B to make application of the quarantine broader. So the executive order is about quarantine, apprehension, and detention. So the dude from Newsweek should get ready to write a whole new article, because here it comes. So you may feel relieved that the influenza exception has been removed, as President Obama has done, but Section C from 2005 is still in effect, which means also influenza viruses that cause or have the potential to cause a pandemic remain in place.
Which will be every new one.
Yes. The purpose
Besides the regular
of that, of C, and this new order is, and I quote, specifying certain communicable diseases for regulations providing for the apprehension, detention, or conditional release of individuals to prevent the introduction, transmission, or spread of suspected communicable diseases. I think obviously you think, oh, they're going to throw us in FEMA camps, apprehension, detention, but the release is what I think is interesting. And if you had a whole bunch of illegals in San Antonio and, they might have dengue fever or something else, maybe you'd want to release them under this executive order. That's the new word here. Conditional release to prevent the introduction, transmission, or spread of suspected communicable diseases.
I gotta read this myself now. This doesn't sound right.
There it is, my brother.
Yeah, sure. All right. Well, I'm disappointed in this analysis.
Why?
Because I just don't buy into the. You're suggesting that there would take a bunch of guys like these characters coming across the border that supposedly have one thing or another. Let's say the type of tuberculosis, which by the way they track these people down and grab them.
Let's step back 1 second. Let us agree that this Ebola scare is just a media scare and it's hype and it's bull crap. Do we agree on that?
Yeah.
Okay. So
but it's not as though it's not a dry run for something potentially bigger.
But everything is a dry run for something potentially bigger.
Not everything.
Of course, everything is.
Well, I'm not as pessimistic as you are. I think a lot of things are just accidental and screw ups.
Well, you can go and analyze whatever you want.
Well, I'm just saying. I just don't. I'm disappointed. I don't think that's what it was about. I don't know what it was about. It just maybe it was just a throwaway. But I'm very suspicious the way you were, because there's such a last minute thing. What was the point of that?
Well, this is the border issue. This is the solution to that problem.
All right. Well, you're gonna have to. Okay. Well.
I'm sorry. I mean, you wanted me to crackpot that we're all going to FEMA camps. That's a given. We don't need executive.
No, there's no FEMA camps.
We don't need executive orders for that. We know where the FEMA camps are. We know I'm in Region 6. You're in Region 9. We know we're going.
There's no camps around here. They're going to have they'll have too much trouble moving anyone out. Just soon kill everyone, which may be the release part of the equation.
I did get a nice note from our. You got a lot of feedback actually on your negative population growth analysis.
Yeah.
These guys are still around.
Yeah.
But I found some interesting things out. This is from, remember the guy who sent us the copy of the scrap paper for the Common Core test, which had a barcode on it?
Right.
He says, after hearing John's interesting and your discussion on the scare of population explosion, I thought you might be interested to hear about this nonprofit group that contacted me not too long ago. As you know, I'm a 7th grade social studies teacher. I sent you the email about the barcode scratch paper. Well, in my school mail, I got a letter from a nonprofit named the Negative Population Growth Foundation, soliciting to me free resources to help me teach my students about the apocalyptic world they were going to be growing up in because of population growth. Of course, I responded right away and got every free resource they were offering.
Yeah.
npg.org, John. This is where you want to be. npg.org. And these guys have been around since 1972. 1972. These are the original people.
Yeah, these are the guys.
So it's npg.org. And if you look at the resources, they have the 2014 student fact sheet, which is kind of fun. If you just click on that one, you can.
I'm looking for resources. I don't see it.
At the top of the page.
It says home, what NPR. Oh, I see. You have to drop down.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah.
For educators?
Yeah. Introduction to students. Why population matters to you.
Request a teacher's packet.
Essentially, here, what you can do. Here we go.
Who's paying for this operation?
Well, that is not easy to find. I could not find. You never can, but you can become a member and understand. We'd have to really
find out.
Dig deep. But I did get from, and this
They're in Alexandria.
Oh yeah, of course, Virginia. You were talking about the. Who was the guy, the main guy of the population bomb? Or was that Ehrlich? Ehrlich. So who wrote a paper with Paul Ehrlich in 1974? I'm bringing up a scan of that paper now, which of course you can find in the show notes. Human population and the global environment, population growth, rising per capita, material consumption, and disruptive technologies have made civilization a global ecological force. The dangerous misconceptions appear to be widespread amongst decision makers and others with responsibilities related to population growth. We and others have dealt at length with the third misconception, which is the science and technology can make possible the long continuation of rapid growth in civilization's consumption of natural resources. And we've been dealing with this. In this paper, we argue that environmental deterioration is a much more subtle, pervasive, and dangerous phenomenon than is implied by the narrow view of pollution. We show further that population size and the rate of population